Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to a brand new video, a brand new sort of template format style of video. We're trying something a little bit new here, so let us know what you think of this kind of new collaboration, new style, new format. Obviously, you know me, I'm Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis, and this is of course my VR brethren, Nathie. How you doing, dude? You alright?
Hey dude, how are you doing?
I'm really good, actually. I'm really good. I'm kind of excited about doing something this way as well. It feels a little bit different. It feels a little bit fresh. As you probably know, like if you follow either one of our channels, you know, we usually talk about these kind of subjects on the VR Inside podcast, right, with the other guys. But we've kind of broken free a little bit. It's just the two of us hanging out.
Beware.
Yeah, and it's because we wanted to talk about this game in a bit more depth and sort of go into a bit of discussion and review of this game. And this game is, of course, Seeking Dawn. And we've both been playing this game, right?
Yeah, so we played the entire experience together. So, yeah, that's why we wanted to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Because we heard a lot of like positive stories about it and negative ones. And we felt like there's so much to say about this Seeking Dawn title, and the best way to do it is by doing something like this, right, where we just talk about it. It's like a mini podcast or something like that.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Like think of it as like a special episode almost, but just with the two of us.
Yeah.
So let's get down to the very basics first. So Seeking Dawn is available right now. It came out like a week ago on the 12th of July and is available for £30.99 in British pounds and $39.99 US. So it's available on Steam and it's available on the Oculus store. So you can pick it up on both platforms. And it was made by a Chinese VR developer called Multiverse. Now they're not new to VR. This is not their first rodeo in the VR space. They've also made a game called Reveries Dreamflight, which was on Gear VR, and now you can pick it up on Oculus Go. They also made some other games which are less known and also less popular, and that is The Baron, Got You Again, Defenders of the Realm, and Galactic Rush VR. All these games are available on Steam, but they're kind of under different names, which again kind of makes me feel a little bit weird about it, so who knows what's going on there. Conspiracy confirmed. But yeah, let's just talk about the game before it actually released. So I think when we've all first heard about the game, it seemed like a very ambitious project, right? It's like an open world game. There's crafting elements. Everyone was kind of hyped about it. It was like the Halo of VR that we'd all hoped and dreamed for, right?
True. Yeah, it's true. Like the first trailer they dropped was epic. It looked so freaking nice. Yeah, people were comparing it to Halo, also other titles, and the visuals were top notch. The gameplay looked a little bit like a PC one. Like the trailer they showed up was more like a PC kind of trailer and not really a VR one. Like the way the guy was reloading his gun and how he was building a turret. Like that's not how you build or let's say reload a gun in VR. So it was kind of strange to see that, and that's why this trailer worked so well in the VR space, because usually they show up like a clunky trailer with like a actual first person movement from someone, and this one was very sexy as like a VR trailer, right? I mean, we gotta be honest there.
Yeah, but exactly. But you mentioned sexy, but unfortunately, like a bad Tinder date, it just didn't turn out to be that way.
Fair enough.
The pictures look nice. You actually go on the date and you're like, hey, this isn't what was advertised here. So it wasn't just the trailers that kind of got everyone triggered, because like you say, they were very polished. They looked really nice, a bit different from everything else we had seen, and kind of got everyone hyped. But then when it got closer to release, the Multiverse devs, they started doing some weird things, which we haven't really seen that much of in VR so far. And that was that they started selling keys for the game via their own website, circumventing Steam and Oculus, and just going for their own sort of early access, if you will. And the weird thing about this was, because a colleague of ours did actually buy the game through that pre-order system, and the funny thing was that the devs were saying that you had to sign an NDA prior to buying the game. And the NDA was basically you can't stream it, you can't talk about it, you can't review it, you can't do anything but just play the game. And that for me just kind of started raising red flags, right? That kind of thing is a bit sketchy. So then when it came to when the game actually did finally release and like people like us got early access to the game, which of course we always appreciate, again there was like an NDA, an embargo, which again isn't necessarily unusual. But the unusual thing about this one in particular was just they were like, you can't play past a certain point.
Well, I mean, you could play past that certain point, but you were not allowed to show it off on video.
Right.
And usually that's not really that strange because they are still working on the game, but we already heard some funny stories. So I was like, Mike, we gotta play past that point to see what happens, right?
Yeah.
And like most people that do a review, they play the first, let's say, an hour or maybe 2 hours, and some even play just the first 20 minutes. And like with every game out there, if it's a VR game or not, like the first part is always super polished. Let's say my favorite game is BioShock. Later on, you encounter more bugs than you do at the start. Like every game has a few funny bugs later on. And we were like, we need to play past one point so we can actually show the true game off, because then you can discover if, let's say, the gameplay doesn't start to get repetitive, if there are no bugs that are game breaking, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
exactly.
So that's
so the warning signs were there from the beginning, but you know. We're sort of like to go in with a sort of a clear mind, you know, try and remain as impartial as we possibly can without sort of, you know, being biased in any way. So we checked the game out, and let's talk about some of the positives first, because I think there are a few positives to this game before we get into some of the stuff that maybe we didn't enjoy so much. And let's start off with the graphics, because I think this is probably one of the game's strongest points. You know, I think the game looks very appealing. You know, it's got these beautiful vistas at points and sort of stunning alien landscapes. You know, there's all sorts of stuff going on, you know, different colors, different lighting effects. And then there's also like these little creatures that are just milling around as part of the universe that won't necessarily attack you. They're not enemies, but they're just there as part of the scenery, which all makes it kind of feel like this living, breathing world, which is really cool, right? Mm-hmm. And then, you know, some other positives are like, you know, you've got different options for locomotion, which I know most games nowadays do, but it was a problem back in the day. But, you know, you've got teleport, blink, smooth locomotion, and also it's kind of got like a neat running mechanic as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's something you don't see that much. Like most VR games you play don't use the swinging loco that much, but this is like a game that combines walking locomotion with swinging locomotion, and that's interesting. That's something unique, something different we haven't seen before. But it's just nice to have some developers out there who at least understand that you have to get all the loco options in the game. Yeah. Because otherwise people need to complain at the start, like you need to add it, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you know the story. So this one was like ready to go for everyone out there. Teleportation, etc. It all works. Yeah, and the cool thing about the running mechanic was that basically you just pushed forward on the thumbstick if you had a touch controller, and then you just swing your arms and then you run, and it just felt like a very natural mechanic for running. I thought it felt great, and it's, like you say, one of the very few games I've ever experienced that kind of locomotion in before, so very cool indeed. But the one thing about, I will say a negative before I get into the other positives, and that is with the options, specifically if you're left-handed as a player, if you want to play smooth locomotion, you can't actually play left-handed because I heard apparently the movement is only stuck to the left hand, so that means that if you're left-handed to shoot, then you're kind of screwed in a way. But, you know, this is something that's probably easily fixed. You know, I would imagine in an update in the future, this could easily be patched out. But for left-handed players right now, unfortunately, you're kind of left out if you want to play smooth. It's like a tiny little thing like a lot of developers forget. Like you usually don't, because most people are right-handed. Like there's rarely someone out there that is left-handed. But of course, it's a must to have that in the settings where you can just, you know, swap it around, especially if you also need to shoot a gun, you know? Exactly, and that's like one of the core mechanics of this game, right? It's like one of the main principles of it, so it's an important thing. So the other thing was options to remove the HUD. I thought that was good because there is a lot of HUD and all sorts of information that is right in your face. So for us as well, like who like to record our gameplays as well, that kind of stuff just kind of gets in the way of everything. But I did like the fact that you could just get rid of the whole thing. Apart from like some of the surrounding of your helmet that you just couldn't get rid of, most of it you could get rid of, right? Yeah, the HUD was a little bit too much in my opinion, but at least they had the like option to like turn it off. And yeah, you still had like a little Darth Vader part over here that is still like a little bit in the way. Like we don't have that much field of view at this very moment, so why would you make it smaller then, you know? Sometimes it does work. Like I played games where you're like an astronaut and it's kind of cool, but in the end, I would not like turn on any HUD. Maybe later when they reinvent it, but for this one it was like 2D stuff on your screen, and it's not really like in the distance. It's not really playing nicely with 3D. You could see it, but you know.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So another one of the sort of benefits of the game I thought was the multiplayer, right? Because we actually played the game together co-op. We never played it single player. No. And to hook up in-game was actually surprisingly simple. And we've played a lot of games recently where it's been a bit complicated, put it that way, to play together. So it was kind of refreshing just to be able to jump in. It worked straight away. In-game voice chat worked, which we disabled because we like to use other sort of platforms like Discord. But in terms of the mechanics working and being there, it just worked. And we also had another player join us one time as well, right? So we played twice on 2 different occasions. We played sort of nearer to release, and then we played, what was it, this morning? We played? It feels like it was a long time ago, even though
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, a lot has happened since this morning, so like, yeah, we did play this morning. It's been a long day.
Time flies.
It does. So yeah, we played this morning, and we've played for a good, sort of few hours now, and we've sort of tested some different things, different parts of the game, and we've gone way past when they originally said to not go past for an initial embargo review, just to sort of see what it is behind those sort of hour progress. So what did you think of our initial sort of playthrough? Because initially I kind of thought, it ran you through a little tutorial first, and then you kind of like drop podded into the world, and then we could hook up together. But funny thing was that you didn't go through the tutorial first, you just kind of joined me, and because you didn't go through the tutorial, you didn't have any guns.
No, it didn't give me anything, so I was like, Mike, I don't have anything, what should I do? So then I played the tutorial, and then it matched up, but then we found out that for some reason when you play this co-op, when you play the multiplayer, we both have our own objectives in a way, but we still go the same way, and you kind of share them too. So it's kind of like a loose team system that sometimes does share and sometimes it doesn't, because you need to collect a lot of resources in Seeking Dawn. It's like one of the main core features. You need to craft items to continue playing the game. Like you need to get ammo, health, stuff like that, weapons, etc. And sometimes when we were collecting together, we had like one little place where we would just gather everything. But there were also moments where we didn't really share anything at all. Like we arrived at, that's like the first, let's say, spot where you can craft like the spaceship, and inside you can do base building, things like that. But then we noticed that there were guns on the table. And I could grab the guns, but you were like, where are the guns now? Yeah, I said, I just picked them up. But for some reason, there should be let's say, if you get a gun, there should be another one for the player.
Second player,
Yeah, so it acts like a single player sometimes, and sometimes it acts like a multiplayer. It's like switching around, and it's very strange. And that happened, yes, at the start. It happened when we started to craft things, and I don't know what's going on with that, but it sort of works. Sometimes it can be annoying, like I had to do things for you because I was the only one with the guns.
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah. And the weird thing is, for a co-op game, you can't actually, I can't drop any ammo on the floor for you to pick it up. We couldn't share weapons or share ammunition that way. We kind of just had to gather resources together to then craft it, and then I could just leave it on the floor after I've crafted it from the machine, and then you could pick it up, but not hot swap it on the go, which is kind of a bit of a shame. So that was kind of the multiplayer element of it. But let's talk about some bugs and crashes and stuff. A lot of users are reporting that they had bugs and crashes. I don't think we actually came across anything really that bad, but I think we're both using pretty OP machines to run this game, so it's not like we're running on the sort of lower end of the spec, but we didn't encounter anything like that, did we?
No performance issues like at all. But I did notice that we got stuck a lot at some parts. There was a lot of loading, that's for sure. Like, I had a lot of moments where I was like in Steam loading the game, and sometimes you were just shooting the enemies, and then suddenly you were like, oh, okay, I see just the loading screen now, and I need to wait and hope for the best that I didn't die, that I didn't get eaten by the monsters. So that's the only thing I noticed, and I was playing it on the Vive. I'm not sure, you were playing it on the Rift, right?
Right.
So did you also notice any like loading moments?
Yeah, of course. So like you mentioned, if Nathie went up way ahead and got to the objective before I did, let's say I was just kind of admiring the landscape, and he triggers the loading, then it just drags me along with him, and I have to load with him. So that can kind of be a little bit immersion breaking. But it's kind of one of those things, if you're playing together, it's kind of one of those things you have to deal with, I guess. But the other thing was, so let's talk about crafting, because what I didn't necessarily understand when I saw the trailers for the game, or sort of when I was researching the game, I didn't realize that crafting was such a huge part of this game, right? And to give you an idea, like Nathie mentioned, you have this kind of base of operations. That's where you have like these workshop machines that you can create to craft weapons, craft ammo, all sorts of other things that you're going to need to progress through the game. And you need to craft them because enemies don't drop ammunition or weapons. Right? So
no, they don't. Like, there are like places where you can pick up some ammo from little crates, but since, as I said before, this co-op mode acts like a single player, it's not really giving us more ammo.
No.
So we need to share little ammo drops together. So if it just doubles everything, then it would have not been that bad. But as you said, like, ammo is kind of rare in this game, at least not from a perspective where you can just grab it from an enemy.
Yeah.
So you had to just craft it, right?
Yeah, and this is the thing, like, also going to the crafting, we built a base of operations and we were putting some workshops out, and we had some trouble with one of the workshops, didn't we?
Yeah, you screwed up with that one.
Yeah,
so it was just something dumb.
Yeah, part bad design, part me being a noob. But basically, I planted a workshop facing the wrong way in a corner, and we couldn't actually access it to craft the ammo. So basically, to circumvent that, we had to change our settings to teleportation, and then we could teleport behind it and then craft the ammo and then drop it. So that was kind of a bit frustrating that you couldn't move it around after you've placed it, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, like, as far as I know, it gets advertised as a base builder. It's not really a base builder. There is already a base, and in that base you have little areas that light up where you can build like a workshop, a machine that poops out guns and ammo and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So honestly, I don't call that base building, because the base is already there. If it was base building, then I had to build my own spaceship with stuff in there. So that part, like, it is not really base building, no.
Yeah, exactly. So with the whole crafting element, there's like resources out in the world, like in trees and rocks, and basically the two weapons the weapon you picked up originally that I couldn't pick up was actually a rock crushing weapon and a tree crushing weapon. So that's basically the weapon you need to gather resources. I just didn't have that, and then
so I had to do everything for him.
Yeah, exactly. And then when we played it again today, those weapons were completely gone for both of us, right? Neither of us had those weapons anymore.
I lost them. I lost almost all of my gun. I only had the stinger.
Stinger, yeah.
And the rest was just gone. It disappeared into a wormhole. And those kind of things make me wonder, like, how does this saving system work? And is this really a co-op mode? Is it really and it's a shame, because let's say if, of course, we are reviewers, so we play this game once and that's it, right? But if you are someone who like spent hours upon hours in the first play session to gather everything, all the guns, and then you find out that the next session everything is gone, That freaking sucks.
Yeah.
Where the heck is my stuff, you know?
Exactly.
So...
and this is the thing, like I was reading a lot of the Steam reviews and the Oculus reviews, and there was a player that has like really got into the game, really enjoyed it, and he's got to the final boss. So he's like putting some serious hours, but the problem is resources don't respawn. So once you've collected those resources and used it to create something, to craft something like ammo or a gun, well, that's gone forever then. And he had got to the point where he had got to the end boss, he had crafted all this ammunition but kept on dying and then was losing that ammunition each time, and he's got to the point now where he doesn't have enough ammunition left to defeat the final boss to actually finish the game. And that's kind of disappointing to hear, right? Because, you know, for us as well, like when we played it today, we had lost those weapons so we couldn't craft any more stuff. The enemies weren't dropping any more stuff, so we were kind of in a position where we just couldn't progress any further.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I call game breaking, because then it doesn't allow you to finish the game in a way, you know. And I don't know what is happening with that system. Like, does it really save on your let's say computer, or does it save in the cloud? I wonder, because in the end we are playing it together. But on the other side, we don't. Yeah. So there is a part of that data that we store together or we share. Yeah. But then we also don't. So that's just strange. Like this, as I said before, this co-op mode, it is co-op, but it also isn't. Yeah. And that makes a lot of like problems, I think.
Yeah, because the whole idea of it is drop in and drop out co-op, I guess. But the way it's implemented is kind of bad, because like you say, we were sharing stuff, like, well, you had weapons that I relied on, and then if I play it without you, then I'm kind of screwed then, you know? Yeah. So that was kind of weird. But in terms of like, say the crafting element alone, like, I think the whole crafting part of it can be improved if enemies just dropped weapons and ammunition. It would just make it more satisfying, right? A bit like Borderlands, or a bit like any other game that's very similar to this, in that you fight enemies, they tend to drop ammunition. But this kind of crafting mechanic, it just means that you could go and venture off into a mission. If you don't have enough ammo, you're screwed midway. You have to turn around, go back home, and craft some more.
It needs to be a mix of two things, where you sometimes need to craft ammo, but that you can just combine with ammo you find. Yes. And that's all you need. Plus, what I would love to see is that the resources you need to collect are everywhere, but you don't know what they look like. So if you could just use maybe a scanner to find the right spots, or let's say in your objective screen there's a picture of what you need to destroy exactly, then that would help a lot. Because if you now want to craft ammo, it says this and that, but you don't know where you need to find that. No. And you're like, okay, let's just destroy the entire place and just hope something pops up I can use. Yeah. But
that's right. Because there's two like types of rock that we encounter and two types of tree that we encounter, but they all look very similar, right? You know, it's very difficult to tell the difference. Okay, so let's move on to survival, because this is one of the biggest frustrations I had with the game. Because and it was just the most infuriating and annoying features of this game. And I get that some people are going to be like, yeah, Mike, but yeah, you know, I like survival games and I play The Forest all day long, and that's great. But like, when this dude is telling you in your ear, damn, I'm thirsty, like every freaking 10 seconds, it literally just makes you want to throw yourself off the edge of like the landscape, right? And just like end it all. Just say, I'm not playing this game anymore. And the problem is this happens so frequently, and you have to constantly feed and drink all the time to stop this guy from saying it. And explain what you did to circumvent this issue.
So I just muted the entire game.
The entire game?
Yeah, I first tried the sound effects. Yeah. Didn't work out. And then I also turned off the music, but I mean, this guy saying, damn, I'm thirsty is not really a soundtrack, so that didn't work. And then I just turned off everything and I put some ABBA as background music. And that was fine. But the thing is, like, there's nothing wrong with this guy saying that he's hungry or thirsty, okay? First of all, he should just say it once every, I don't know, 5 minutes. That's cool. But the problem is that, so yes, you need to refill your water and food after a while, because it tries to act like a survival game. But in the end it isn't, because it has no impact on you. You can still run as fast as you want, even with like low water and low food. It doesn't affect you at all. It doesn't.
It affects health, though, I think. I think it does drain your health, I think. So you could die if you didn't do it. But
Okay.
But let's put it this way: you turned it off, and you didn't die after like maybe 45 minutes.
No, but I also noticed that my bar started to get stuck after a while. So sometimes water didn't even go down to 0 at all,
Right.
and that's just weird.
Yeah.
Plus, I played The Forest. I played other survival games too, and they slow you down after a while. If you don't eat enough, it slows you down, or you start to get damage, things like that. But the only thing it does is what you said with the HP part. But if you really want to be a survival game, then just putting 2 meters in the screen where you need to eat alien burgers and things like that, that's not enough. If you want to be a survival game, then go for that survival aspect.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, like, that's one of the overarching things I think of this game, is that they've tried to do too much, right? They've had this kind of nice idea, this core game mechanic, this cool story, and the gunplay, and then they've thought, okay, how can we pad this out to a longer game? Okay, we'll add crafting, and we're going to add a survival element. And it's the crafting and the survival elements that I feel like are the game's weakest point, and kind of bring the whole vibe of the game down, you know? Like, if they just had the story, the gunplay, and you just picked up weapons and you just picked up ammo, I think it'd just be way more fun to play, and because it is a good-looking game, and the gunplay kind of feels
then it would be a bit more arcadey. It's like, you know, for me, it's like if you really want to run an ambitious game and you want to go for the best thing ever, then you need to think if it's even possible to do certain things. It feels like they wanted to do it all, but they didn't have enough time to finish everything. And of course, we don't know what happened behind the scenes. Maybe there were investors that said, listen, this needs to go out now because it's been a while. But, you know, if this survival part wasn't there and the crafting, then this game is nothing new. It's nothing unique. It's the same as we have seen before. And of course, there's nothing wrong with a game where you just go for that arcadey storyline and you pick up weapons, but I just wonder if there is enough time to still improve this title, because we played about 4 or 5 hours of it, and after a while, things start to just act funny, and I'm like, is this still fixable? Because we heard stories from our colleagues too, where they have like huge bugs, that just shouldn't be normal at all.
Yeah, like we could probably mention it, you know, like Rowdy was playing the game and the whole thing just went black, right? The whole landscape went black. He just that was it.
It transformed into a black like hole, something like.
So it's almost like the lighting just completely disappeared. Yeah. But I think the devs are very sort of reactive. They're very responsive. They've got a Discord. They're listening to the feedback on Steam. They're listening to the feedback on Oculus. And some of these things, like, put it this way, like, the game looks good and there is some good gameplay mechanics, but the things that I didn't like about the game, which was like the crafting and the survival aspects, they could easily be removed or toggled off if you choose not to. So it's kind of like, there could be things that could turn this game around, but it's whether or not the developers will listen at the end of the day to what the community wants.
Exactly, and they should drop the price, because as you mentioned, the price is so high for a game like Seeking Dawn. Like, those prices are usually for the AAA developers. They are asking those prices. We rarely see these prices on Steam and Oculus Home. I don't see many developers doing that. And now with all these like problems as well, no discount, no real like story from the developer. Yes, they did do some patches. I've seen that on Steam. But yeah, the price, I don't think it's worth it for that price, honestly. No, and that's why, you know, I would say, you know, don't buy the game yet. You know, just don't buy the game yet. See what happens with these updates. See if the reviews start turning around on Steam and Oculus, because at the moment it's kind of very sort of middle of the road in terms of reviews. There's some people that really love it. There's a lot of people that really don't as well. And I would just say, from our opinion, that play a lot of VR games, you know, it's definitely not in the state right now that we would recommend it. But, you know, with some tweaks, maybe they can turn it around. But, you know, we've also got to remember that these developers, they're planning a PSVR release as well. And
and maybe a PSVR release. As we know with PSVR, like PlayStation are very, very strict with their QA. So if the game doesn't meet their standards, then they're just not going to accept the game. So maybe by going onto PlayStation, that it may implement some of the stuff that we want to improve it.
Yeah, I just wish they would have been more open from the start. Like, it was clear that with the trailers they tried to hide the fact that things weren't finished up yet and that things didn't work. And then even when people could play test it and give feedback, they were still trying to hold them off. And I think that's wrong. And with a trailer, you know, like, every year a trailer comes out, it always looks more epic than it really is. This one was showing out things that I haven't seen in game. Like, there was a slow-mo mode, like bullet time. Yeah. Never used that. The way you could build a turret, of course, didn't work like that. You just spawned it and it popped up. And it's the same with the weapons. Like, you don't reload weapons yourself, right? They just... It just happens. So from the trailer side, you know, I get it from a marketing perspective, but I think still, like, if you are more open and you are like, okay, listen, we have an ambitious project, this is going to be bigger than ever, we want to like get the community in here to help us out, stuff like that. But with all these embargoes, they were kind of stopping that. They were kind of trying to slow that down, and I don't know why. And that made me like a little like think like it's kind of sketchy. It's almost like you are at a point where you can't fix this game anymore. Because why would you otherwise, you know, try to hide everything with embargoes? I wonder. I seriously wonder. Yeah, no, I totally agree. So, you know, we shall see what happens with this game in the end. But I know there'll be a few people out there that say, hey, Mike, Nathie, like, why are you hating on this game? Don't you want VR to be a success? And it's like, of course we want VR to be a success, but we need great games for VR to be a success, because I don't think people that are used to sort of very polished pancake games coming over right now are going to be very pleased with a product like this. So this is kind of why we do this. It's not to really hate on a game or hate on a developer or anything. It's kind of to give some sort of criticism as well, because I know that developers do watch these videos sometimes and maybe take some of the criticism on board. So maybe if you have got an opinion about this game, then I would love to know in the comments down below as well. And I'm sure Nathie will be the same on his video. You know, if you've played the game, if you encountered any bugs, or did you enjoy the game, did you not enjoy the game? We'd love to know your feedback either way, because I think it all helps to kind of get this kind of message out there of what we want. Yes, we are making this video because we want to see the developers improve it and make it better, and also warn you, of course, for the fact that you shouldn't buy it at this moment, but maybe wait until things are getting fixed. Yeah. And that's like the main message. We are saving you from buying it at this moment, but that doesn't say it's not going to get better later down the road. So.
Absolutely. So is there anything else you want to add, Nathie, before I close this one up?
Well, I hope the developers are watching. I hope you are going to improve your game. And, you know, if you need anything from us, you can always hit us up on Twitter, on email, anything, you know. And it's the same for our audience. If you want to ask us something about this game, or you have questions about other games you think you want to buy, but you're not sure yet, just hit us up. I mean, we're always open to help out and save the oasis.
Yeah, that's absolutely sound advice. So, yeah, I hope you guys and girls enjoyed this one. If you did, leave a like. And, yeah, maybe we'll do more of these. Let us know again if you want more of these kind of videos, kind of very frank discussions about games. Yeah, leave a thumbs up. And, yeah, maybe, you never know, we might see you on the next one. So until then, take care in the metaverse, and bye-bye for now. See ya.
See you later. Bye-bye.